Good morning. This is Thomas from thomasyoungauthor.com. Today is August 5th, 2026, and it's almost 6:30 a.m. Today I want to talk a little more about the concept of mimetic violence and how it links to homosexuality and gender nonconformity, and how through this experience in this kind of violence, you know, a lot of homosexuals and gender non-conforming people are basically deceived in believing that that is a form of homophobia, which it is not. It is a form of, this is violence, I mean, directed, you know, at all people, or exerted from a specific kind of people to other people, but that does not necessarily have to do with gender nonconformity or homosexuality. Although I think one can also not say, I think homosexual people or gender nonconforming people do have, perhaps have, I don't know, but perhaps have, you know, a stronger sensibility for these things, either because, you know, they had to develop that in order to, I don't know, survive in the world, or I don't know how it works, but there is a link. But experiencing violence is not, you know, exclusive to these people. And I mean, there are many other expressions for it, but I prefer the term mimetic violence. And that concept basically sounds as all these overt and violent forms of violence seem to have disappeared for large parts, but the violence, you know, shows itself in other ways, you know, it's channeled differently, and there's also an elusive quality about that violence, a deceptive quality about it, because it's not as easily recognized as these overt, you know, and violent and physical forms of violence. And I want to talk a little bit about how that violence is, how you can see that violence in something called the gay community. Because you have to understand, the gay community is a world basically for only men. And there are certain dynamics in that world that are, you know, that you get when you are only among men, and these are often very violent behaviors. And today I want to talk a bit about that podcaster, that podcast Gay Over, and the presenter Gray Young. I found a video of him. It's a short clip. You can watch it. I will link it. It is in the German language, so I hope you can understand it. And in that clip, he claims to talk about a taboo subject. So he says, all men, you know, sometimes have this habit of touching their genitals, and then taking the hand to their nose and then smelling their hands. So he wants to talk about that in that little clip. He says that's a taboo subject, according to him. Something we need to talk about. I mean, and this is what I mean. I mean, you can basically choose any one of his videos. In talking about these things, in talking about sex in these very sort of pornographic, explicit ways, you know, this elaborate talk, this constant talk about sex. This is how people, especially gay people, but, you know, it can be other people, you know, I've also seen women and everything doing it. It's not exclusive to gay people, but in the gay world, this is how violence is exerted on other people, you see. Because why is it violence? Because you experience this as violence, or at least I do, and I think many other people do. You cannot just say, you know, stop talking about it, it's inappropriate. No, inappropriate doesn't cut it. You know, it is a form of violence. It is, in a way, a demonstration of power. Because you see, not everybody can afford to talk like that. If you are in a group of people, and one guy, like that grey young guy, talks like that, I think you should try one to talk like that. And they will start looking at you angrily. This, if you know what I mean. So, and this is very bad behavior. And I hope, and that needs to be recognized. Because you see, these are the same, that grey young guy is the same kind of people. Also in his other, he has a lot of guests on, and they talk about victimhood a lot. And I've talked about this in my essays and my other videos. These people like to indulge in victimhood and therefore indulge in damage and feel justified to, you know, so to these demonstrations of power, to use violence against other people. You see, I mean, and that's also a problem I have with, always had with identifying as gay. I don't want to live only among men. I don't want to be only surrounded by gay people, because I find that really unhealthy. And in that video, you can see why. Because if you are, I mean, I've been among gay men. I mean, the violence when you are among such men is constant, and it shows itself in these kind of behaviors. Then I will link another clip. I'll show the link in the notes, and that is from the other people I talked about a lot, from the guys from Gay Men Going Deeper. And these are gay men my age, around the age 40, and they, you know, they, I don't know, substance abuse issues. They have all kinds of problems, and now they want to hang on to the gay identity. And in order to do that, and the gay lifestyle, and in order to do that, they want to they learned a lot about, you know, spirituality and these things, and they think that is the way to go to hang on to the gay identity and to hang on to the gay lifestyle. And in that clip, I will also show you how these people exert violence. They don't use, you know, sexually explicit language, but listen to the way they speak. I mean, what they say does not make much sense. Just listen to it, and then you see, you know, what kind of violence these people are exerting on a lot of people. Because here you can already see, in Gay Men Going Deeper, there is already, you know, this is a brotherhood, and they have like thousands of members. But you, in the videos, you can already see there is a certain hierarchy already in place, and only certain people within the hierarchy get to speak and babble all that absurd nonsense about spirituality and all these other things. And I would urge gay people not to listen, or homosexuals not to listen to people like that. These are violent people. I mean, you can see it. I mean, we have now a Pride Month, and you can see all those pride parades. You just need to look at these people and see what they are all about. On the internet, there's also a lot of talk about, you know, sort of this about a lot of discourse about narcissism and psychopathy and all that kind of stuff, and all these self-help things. And I think what a lot of homosexuals and gender non-conforming people can relate to is this talk about, you know, constantly attracting what is referred to either as, you know, toxic people or narcissists or psychopaths in their lives. At least I can claim that for myself. I always wondered why, you know, I grew up amongst those people, but why do I keep on attracting? Why do I always have people around in my life that display this really abusive, that are really abusive towards me, and why do I tolerate these people in my life? And the people themselves on the internet who claim to they call themselves then empaths, which is a term I hate because it is sort of self-congratulatory, and I think it is also a way to sort of indulge in damage and stuff like that. And feel good about yourself, oh, I'm such a good person because I attract all these bad people and all these abusive people in my life. No. I think that is a wrong approach. I mean, you should learn to think about these things and think why, because there is a certain, you feel attracted to these people, and not only in sexual ways. I feel attracted sometimes to these people, like always in sexual ways, but also in many other ways. In a way, subconsciously, I want these people in my life, and I think it is important not to listen to all the nonsense that is being talked about that, but to think about what kind of mental states, what kind of thoughts do I have, am I in, and what kind of thoughts do I have whenever, sort of I make excuses for such people, whenever I think, okay, well, maybe that person isn't so bad after all, or maybe you just don't want to see. Often it is a form of denial. It's saying, okay, no, a person cannot be that bad, cannot be that abusive. Okay, and try to think about what thoughts do I have, what mental states am I in, and what behaviors do I display against these people in order to get rid of them, because that is a challenge a lot of people have, and especially homosexuals and gender non-conforming people. Because you see, if you look for non-abusive people in the gay community, you will not find it. That is, sort of a world riddled, a manosphere riddled with violence. So I would be really careful. Because, a lot of people say, well, yeah, the RuPaul people always say, oh yeah, I have to choose my own family. Yeah. You see, I know what they mean, but be careful where to look for. Okay, well, that was enough for today. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.